Good to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. As a reminder, if you have any questions for us, we'll answer them in the app at the end of the panel. And bright and early, thank you all for coming out. So we could kick it off with some introductions so you get to know who we all are. And Bobby, start with you.
Hi, my name is Bobby Booshay. I'm Athens alum, DJ, producer, dog owner. I don't, I don't know. I never know what to say in those moments, and the dog owner one's a good one, so it works.
I think, what kind of dog do you have?
French bulldog.
Cute.
He's only 9 months, so he's still a baby.
And tearing up your house?
No, he's a good boy. Very good boy.
All right, well, that's a good start. Hi guys, I'm Jared Goldner. I'm actually a Ohio University alumni, and I work for a company called Music Audience Exchange. We specialize in data and technology, helping artists learn more about who their fans are. And we'll probably dive a lot deeper into that as this conversation goes on.
Yeah, so much more. And I'm Diana Buchert. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm also an OU alumni, and I currently work at Nettwerk Music Group as a digital account manager. So I basically am a professional hype woman, is how I like to see it. I get to talk about our roster to different streaming services. And a little bit about Nettwerk. It's a Canadian label founded in 1984 in Vancouver. We've got over 250 active artists at the moment, and we're signing more all the time. And it's a really great team, really great company. And I'm really excited to be back in Athens again. So thank you, Josh. Thank you to the summit. So I guess to kick things off, I think each of us can kind of give a general overview about how we use data in our work, or from a DJ artist perspective, Bobby, how you use data to propel your career forward. If anyone wants to take it first, or I can take it first. I'll take it. I'll keep talking a little bit more.
Keep it going.
Ladies first.
Yes.
So at Nettwerk, we use data to inform literally everything that we do. On the streaming side, we tap in with our data analytics team that we have, who crunch all the numbers for us every single week, and they essentially are telling us how to strategize our streaming release cadences, when to release music, when to not, when to pitch for certain editorial opportunities, if it'll make or break an artist in a certain way. The A&R team will use it for signings if we see numbers spiking on social media platforms or anywhere else in the world. The data really helps us there. We also have an internal tool called a community generator tool, and it's a big feat. We take all of our 250 plus artists, we rope them into different parent communities based on their genre, based on other quantitative measurements that we have internally. And when we group them all together, we also have teams with our staff, so we have conversations about them every few weeks where we talk about the sonics that we hear, fan affinities, the way the fans react, and so there's a big human component into the data as well to really drive the data forward. I think you need the human component to make sense of any of the data. The numbers can only take you so far, and that's a really big feat that Nettwerk has been working on, and that's the future of the label, the future of how we're operating. So that's a very actually big umbrella, so we can dive more into that later. Jared?
Sure. So I'm kind of the opposite. We build a bunch of tools for artists, managers, and labels to outwardly use with their fans to create more engagement at live shows, to learn who their fans may or may not be, and actually survey their fans so that you can have your own first-party data, so you're not reliant on Facebook Insights or Chartmetric or any of the other places that give you kind of a broad range of who your fans might be, as opposed to who your fans actually are. And then we really focus on in that live setting. So I guess show of hands, how many people know that Ticketmaster doesn't tell you who actually buys a ticket? A couple of people. Okay, so when you guys buy a ticket through Ticketmaster, AXS, most venues, the artist has no idea who you are, which is kind of crazy, right? Because you went there to see that artist, right? You don't go to House of Blues because you like the venue, right? You go because you want to see an artist. And so most artists have no idea who their fans are and have no way to directly connect. And our big mission is helping artists learn who their fans are, directly connect with them. I think we see that pretty much every day now, right? How many people get a text message from their makeup company, their favorite clothing company, and anything else? And that's direct to you. They know everything about you. But the things you care about most in life, which are probably music, sports, a handful of other things, right? You might not actually have a direct relationship with that artist that you love, care about, spend countless hours streaming. And so our company's whole focus is helping solve that problem.
So I think for both Diane and Jared, I offer like a different perspective to where they're doing this for artists or looking at ways to cultivate it. For myself, I'm doing all this like on my own. So basically just at a background to for myself, and it's a different case for me to where like I don't know, I guess in a sense like I have fans or people who enjoy like my DJing and everything like that, to where I connect with them kind of on what Jared was saying of like I connect with mine on a direct basis since I'm looking at everything from Twitter, Instagram, or even just like people that I'm Facebook friends with. So for myself, I'll get booked out of state to play at like a nightclub or something like that. So like most bands or something, I don't really have to worry about selling tickets or whatever. I already have like a set rate that I get when I go there. But I know people that enjoy my DJing will come. So then I could just make a post on Instagram or use who's familiar with Hands in Town website, app, whichever. So I'll use that to keep track and put new dates where I'm going to be at, so I could put all that information. If there is a link for tickets, the venue it'll be, and so as you know, if your favorite artist is coming into town or maybe somebody you don't know, you'll receive a notification in your email saying this person you may like or know is coming to, it has just announced a new show in your area. So for instance, like pretty soon I'll be going to like Nebraska and LA, so I put those in my Bands in Town like months ago to where those people have that notification, and then if I want to reach out to them more, I can send another notification to them, or I could just do direct to market, what would you call it, not aggregation, but direct outreach. So I could post on my Instagram story like, hey, I'm coming to Lincoln, Nebraska, do I have any fans or like people out there? Cool, they can interact with me, direct message me back, or comment on my post on Facebook, and I can see those people in real time of like, cool, they're from there. I know they'll come out at that point, or they may or may not, whichever, if they choose to remember or not. But that's kind of how I'll do it for myself, is just using some of those different tools in that sense to where I don't have as much access or direct it as you guys, and obviously you're working with people who are maybe even more established than me, and you're building more stuff to where.
I got good news for you, man. Our newest tools are all free, so we can hook up after this.
There we go. Perfect. See? Add it to the belt.
Yeah, I think something really helpful for independent artists is definitely understanding all of the back end and all the tools of something like, Facebook or Spotify for Artists. If you guys aren't already on it, you can crunch all your numbers there. Chartmetric is a really great tool that Nettwerk loves. There's infinite amounts of data that you can tap into there. Any other things that come to mind for indie artists? Or
I mean, this is like a
Bobby?
shameless plug for my own company at this point, right? We give away free tools to artists to learn who their fans are so they don't have to rely on Facebook Insights. So like we built a whole new surveying tool. For those of you who aren't familiar, we use a concept called progressive profiling, which basically is a really our tech team's really fancy way of saying, hey, the more questions you ask your fans, the more you're actually going to learn about them. And so we'll start off by asking really simple things like, hey, what's your name? What's your email address? So that Bobby here can actually reach out directly instead of relying on Bands in Towns. But then we take it a step further, and maybe Bobby's debating on, I don't know, what his next mashup should be, or what city he should tour in next, or where he should go. Well, he can post that online, and we'll actually aggregate that, and as fans answer, we'll ask them a follow-up question like, hey man, thanks for filling this out. Can you tell Bobby, do you like wine or whiskey? Because he's looking for a brand partnership deal. Or how about, what kind of car do you drive? Or what kind of car are you going to drive next? Because he's looking for a brand partnership deal. So that we can start to aggregate all that information so that you can really control not only what your fans look like, but how you can sell sponsorship against that, right? Imagine if your next gig in LA, you all of a sudden have a sponsor and you get paid double just I see his face is lit up already.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah.
I need more money to feed that
Sponsor
puppy
Bobby.
as he grows.
Exactly. That puppy's going to get bigger and want more food,
Yeah.
right? But no, I mean, these are the things that we work on every single day is our focus is how do we excite and engage fans so that they can give artists the data that really should be theirs to begin with. And then ultimately, like, we have a whole sales team that sells brand partnership deals, right? We work across every single major label. We work with indie artists. We work with people you've never heard of, and we work with Lizzo. So, I mean, like, we kind of run the gambit.
Maybe I actually have a question for both of you. What do you think is an underutilized aspect of like your job within looking at this data? So maybe certain data that other companies aren't looking at, or something that's coming down the pipeline to where it's like, okay, we need to utilize this more. So like obviously like everybody's trying to use TikTok more, but we all know it's kind of oversaturated. Some things take off, some things don't. But what do you see as something that's, I guess, new on the horizon, or that your personal companies are looking at to break into or develop in a sense?
I think the network community approach that I mentioned earlier is, I mean, like I said, it's the future of the label. We're approaching it from a community standpoint. So we can kind of take, like I said, community approach to our different groups of artists and hopefully try the same marketing tactics on a few of the artists in one cluster, a few of the artists in a different cluster, and then the individual teams will strike the nuance from there. Yeah, I think that's all.
When you cluster them like that, do you find it much easier to create new content that has a higher engagement rate then?
I think so, yeah. And I mean, every artist is different because there's some people who really, really love TikTok. I know everyone toots the TikTok horn, and we love TikTok, but I also will say, even if a trend is a trend is trending, like a certain sound or a certain type of video to do, like don't do it unless you feel like it's organic to you, because people can sniff that out immediately if you're just trying to get a view grab or like a money grab. Like do something that's cool to you. So I think you can take those trends and kind of do your, like, run with it, do your own thing with it. Yeah.
Well, I'll have a slightly different answer because I'm the old guy in the room who sees TikToks 3 weeks later on Instagram Reels. So, you know. Oh, good. I got a couple laughs on that one. Okay.
At least you didn't say that you see it on Facebook.
No.
Because then it's like 6 months to a year behind.
No. I'm like 3 weeks behind.
That's way better then.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, my staff gives me quite the hard time already. We just hired someone who's 23, and I think she thinks I am an absolute dinosaur. Just so everyone knows, I'm only 35. I can't even imagine my boss that's 45. I can't even imagine what she thinks of him, because she thinks I'm the oldest person she's ever met. So, anyway, you asked a really interesting question, and I'd say like what we look at is a little bit different, because most of the time when I'm not coaching artists, I'm actually coaching brands on what to look for. And so for us, I look at two things. One, on the brand side, we always say, hey, stop looking at how many Facebook fans they have, or stop looking at how many Instagram fans they have. Like, it really doesn't matter that much. It's cool to say, oh, I worked with someone with 1 million fans. Okay, that sounds great. But really what matters, and this is why I was asking you, what matters is really the engagement, right? Do you have 1 million fans and you get 1,000 likes, or do you have 10,000 fans and get 1,000 likes? That ratio is very different and very important. And so looking at what that says about you and your fans and how active they are, you know, so going back to an artist, we talk about, hey, who is an active fan, right? I think we all know it's so easy to lay in bed, scroll through Instagram, TikTok, if you're real old, Facebook, I guess, and hit like, right? And so I always think that that's a really passive fan, right? Somebody who hearts your post, I'd say is about as passive as it gets. And for us, we look for active fans. And for us, it's, since we do so much in the live space, an active fan for us is someone who comes out to see your show, comes out to see your DJ set. And why is that so important? Because from a math standpoint and a money standpoint, the people who actually come to see you spend 20x per year on you and your music than someone who just likes your Instagram post. And so for us, that is always like the telltale sign. It's like how many people are in the room, and the most important thing you can do is find out their names, their email addresses, have a connection with them, create a community with them, because those are the people that are paying for your Frenchie's new, food, right?
Yes, yes. No, I definitely agree, and I think it echoes the point of um, which you mentioned of just was same with Diana saying like you as a consumer and a fan of somebody you can sniff out when it's genuine, when it's not, and that's the most important thing, and that's the real point where you get your data and your real time feedback. So the more genuine stuff you're putting out, stuff that is you, it'll come back in people being like fans of you or supporters. It's always kind of weird to try and label people fans, supporters, just because it kind of creates a disassociation. But with what Jared does too, it can help build that relationship to where you become connected to your fan. You can know what kind of car they drive, or just a basic interest, to where then I could use that and I don't know, say I'm in, I don't know, where's some random small place that you would never expect.
Didn't you just say you're going to Omaha?
Lincoln.
Is that
Omaha
better or
is
worse?
small too. It's better because it's bigger, but that's not okay. Anyway, but no, yeah. So actually, yeah, that's actually a good point. So every time I tell people I'm going to Lincoln, Nebraska, or Nebraska to play, they're like, "Why would you go there? What is there?" So when I'm going there, there's a club there, and it's college kids just like you guys here, to where they're just looking to have fun, having a good time, to where, but each time I'm going there, I'm engaging, I'm trying to create a memorable experience with those people, so next time they see that I'm there. So I'll be there in May, and then I'll be back there in August. So then hopefully next time in August, even more people come out, because they're like, wow, I went to, see this person unknowingly play, and I had a great time. It sounded good, and I had fun. So next time he's here, I know I want to go back. So I'm not even getting that data in any way, but I'm hoping in that live experience, I'm creating that experience to then maybe have that data engagement relate back to like my Instagram, to where somebody follows me. So even for instance, this past weekend where I was DJing in Cleveland, which is where I'm from too. I meant to say that too. But after, I think it was like Friday night, I gained at least like 5 more new followers or something like that, but I know it's because of how I did and how I played. So now I have that new engagement. So now for those new 5 people, I want to try to keep them in some way, to keep their interest, keep them coming back, get more than a like, get more engagement, get the like, get the comment, get a share. And like, it can be hard. Like, it's very difficult, and especially Instagram and the algorithm of trying to engage people and keep people, and the TikTok algorithm, while it can blow you up, you can also just be another fish in the sea of it, to where, there's millions and millions of users on all these apps. How can you break through? And I think both what Jared and Diana can offer within, like, whether it's her label or his company, like, they can offer something that could maybe push you through to that next level, give you that new tool, or myself.
I think you said something really interesting, though, in all this, is that the key, even with using data and tech and everything else, whether it's in a live setting or what you post or when you put out your next release, like the thing that's most important, though, is finding ways to be authentic and organic with your fans, because I think everyone's pretty smart, right? We can kind of sniff out the BS, but for most people, it's how do you make this authentic, right? I spend a lot of my time talking with artists about, one of our tools is called Set.Live, and it's focused on, hey, when you're in that room, like we are right now, how do I get everybody to go do an action? Go give me their email address. Go give me their phone number. That's actually pretty personal, right? Like, you giving up your contact info, some people really don't like to do that. And so how do you make that super authentic and organic to what you do, so that you as an artist don't get on stage, sound like a salesperson, or even worse, sound like a used car salesman, right? Like, hey, let me show you all these things. Go buy this, right? Not a great look. And so what's authentic to you, I think is really key. Like we have this great musician, Tennille Towns. I don't know if you guys know who she is. She's a country singer. I see one hand in the back. All right. I personally, big fan and love working with her. She's a total sweetheart. But what she's done that's really great is she took our tool and, she's taught me things about it. Where she got on stage and was like, hey, Jared, here's the thing. Like, I don't really want to sound salesy. I was like, okay, don't. What do you do every day? She's like, I take an amazing selfie with every single crowd because I want to make that memorable. I said, okay, well, why don't you just build that in? So now when she gets on stage, she turns around, she takes a selfie with the crowd every night, makes everybody squeeze in real tight, and goes, awesome. You guys want me to text you this photo after the show?
Smart.
Yeah, real
very,
smart.
Very smart. And then does the whole number flash on the screen or something?
We don't even do a number, man. The way our tech works actually is if you type in set.live, it'll geofence those people around the venue that you're playing. And they'll be like, oh, wow, you're here to see Tennille Towns? Great, join her show.
That's
We do the same for you, Bobby.
Please.
Bobby, I'm going to make those Instagram followers
Please.
much easier
My dog
for you.
is hungry. He needs fed.
Yeah, I can talk a bit on the label side as well about serving the fans once you get the data. We have a recent signing named Paris Paloma. She's a singer-songwriter from the UK. Maybe y'all have seen her on TikTok. I hope so, because she's awesome. I see some people nodding. Yes, I love to see that. So she's a recent signing with Nettwerk, and she had a song come out called Labor recently that really taps into the feminine rage kind of vibe. Very powerful song. It's beautiful. See, I'm a hype woman. I have to subtly plug.
Just
our
do
artists.
it. Do it.
I'm doing it. Look him up later. Anyway, we saw that we put out a pre-save for a link to her Spotify to pre-save the song on her socials, mostly on TikTok. And we saw it was blowing up before the song was even out. So we actually scooted the song up to release a day, and it was a surprise to fans. And we had the Paris Paloma team had her go on an Instagram Live, and she was like, hey, surprise, the song is out. And we immediately took her from the Instagram to the premiere of the music video on YouTube. And some of us on the label were watching it live, like the live chat, the live numbers, and we were just blown away at how fast it was racking up. And at this point, she's broken Nettwerk streaming records, Nettwerk premiere records. I mean, we're an independent label, so the numbers aren't like super, super crazy. But for us, we were like, damn, this really worked. Like, we really found her fan base. And so it was really important for us to take her from TikTok to Instagram to YouTube, hit all of those different places. And the numbers are still ticking upward. And so it's been really cool to see the fans react so excitedly. And we've had a few of those moments where, just the initial interest is intense, and it's really cool to see.
If I recall from our chats earlier, you guys at Nettwerk have even looked at data and said, oh, wow, this has so much buzz. Let's release a song a day early.
Yeah, that's what exactly what it was. Yeah,
I mean, I think watching, data in that way to make informed decisions, right? Like, it's such an easier way to just capitalize on the things you're already doing or the things that you're already planning on doing, right? It's not that data should be this scary, like, oh, I have to overhaul everything I'm doing and follow this Instagram algorithm. It's more of like, how can I use this to best move my career forward?
Yeah. It also definitely influences releasing different versions of songs, whether it's like acoustic, a cappella, or like the slowed and reverbed or sped up even, because that's a huge trend right now, mostly from TikTok. So yeah, just be really quick to react, and again, do it in a way that's authentic. There's no need to do a slow and reverb track if you're like, I hate this, or it sounds like mud or something. I don't know, like do what makes sense to you.
Well, so then I just thought of another thing. So obviously you both shared different successes within using the data or just like your technology, so the selfie thing or the example you just shared of seeing a surge and then releasing the song early. Maybe can you talk about and give an example of, so you have all the data, you have all this research and all these numbers, and then you go to do it, and then like to do a new release or to, something within the app or the company, and to where then you go to do it, and then it totally flopped and failed, and you're like, wow, that didn't go how we thought. What should we do now? How can we regroup? So if you just, I don't know, give like a real world example if you have one to where you were like, okay, you know what, it didn't really exactly work. So maybe we regroup and see what else we can do.
I don't know if I have an example. Jared, do you have an example or?
I mean, without, I'll let you guys in on like a little story, okay, right? So we used our tech, right, and one of the big focuses in that live setting, and the ways most people can get to it, interact, use our tech, which all totally appless. Never, no one has to like download anything, right? We try to make it really easy, right? The whole goal is that everything in our company is supposed to be simple, right? We meet with artists, they go, "Wow, this was really easy." I'm like, "Good," right? They're like worried that they're offending me. I'm like, "No, no, no. That's what I want to hear. Like, if it takes more than 5 steps, you're not gonna do it, right?" So, for us, the ways that you could have somebody interact in real time can be, hey, scan this QR code, or like I said, we built in this really cool geo-fencing technology, right? Where when you're in Lincoln, for example, you can just tell people, hey, type in set.live in your browser. Makes it pretty easy, right? It's not even the 10 characters of a phone number. It's super short. But in doing so, I think the flaw is, okay, well, I grabbed this tech and I have it set up. And whether that be, cool, I've had it set up, and I just have a QR code at my merch table, and I'm giving away a free sticker. Well, that's not going to really, like, change the game for you. You have to put in, like, some form of effort. Or you're like, oh, I took this new survey link, and I didn't tell anybody, but I put it as my third link on my link in bio page that's off of my Instagram that has 10,000 people. Why am I not getting thousands of surveys? It's like, again, you got to be a little bit proactive. And so I think where I see, I'll say, flaws or mistakes are the people who just go, cool, I did the thing, and then expect like the Red Sea to part and everything to be so easy and simple for them. And it's like, no, 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 you took like the first step. You got to take more steps.
Well, yeah, this is where the real work is now. Like,
Exactly.
you have it set up, and now you have to actually act on it and push it.
Yeah, and some people don't like that action, right? Taking action is sometimes hard.
Well, yeah, you'll do one post, and you're like, cool, I did it. Now I'm done, and now the masses will come. And then, but then it's like, no, like, you have to keep pushing it.
Yeah, that's definitely the killer. If you just go for it once and then you just never address your fans again, or you need to stick to a routine, you need to stick to a schedule, whether it's like posting content or you stick to a consistent release cadence so you're not dropping a single and then 4 months later you're like, here's another one. Everyone's like, well, what did you do in those 4 months? Like, where did you go?
Yeah, that's actually, that made me think of something. I had heard somebody talk about it to where, I think it might have been a different panel or like on YouTube, but it was like, realistically, when an artist drops a single, you're going to push that single for a year, maybe 3 years even. Yeah. Because even if you look, like an example is like Izzo, Truth Hurts, or whichever. The song was very, like, it came out in, what, 2019? I don't remember. 2020? I don't know. Like, whichever, but then it blew up in, I think it came out in, like, 2018, but then it blew up in 2021 maybe, or whatever. But, like, that was still pushing. Obviously, it helped with TikTok, too, but, like, a lot of artists will tour a single, do radio promo and stuff like that for like a year plus. So like Diana just said, of where like you drop a single and then 4 months later you're like, cool, here's a new song. It's like, cool, well, that last single you just did is now totally forgotten about. Like, if you're really passionate about, like, if you're gonna push a single or a song or like an album, really push it, because to show that you like care about it more. If you're just throwing stuff to throw stuff out there, you're just gonna get washed away. Like, it'll just go away. So put the time and the effort in the one thing. Keep creating, keep making stuff, keep having stuff for the future, but focus on that one thing if you really want it to pop. If you don't want it to pop, sure, throw it out there, but then you're essentially wasting time and effort in just putting it out there.
Yeah, and to that point, if you do have long gaps or you don't really know what to do next, that's a point where you can put out a new version or put out special new content. Do something to keep giving the fans content from you, and they'll hopefully be excited if you're doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for myself, mainly as a DJ, it's kind of hard to navigate the space, because usually when I'm going out, like, I'm playing other people's music, so, you know, your favorite artist's music, songs you want to hear, and then I'm throwing in some stuff that I might make, whether it's an edit, a blend, whichever. So I'm slowly feeding you like stuff that I've done. You might not know it, I might announce it like, hey, this is my new edit or something, or if it's like an original song, whichever, but I'll slowly feed it in there. But then I have moments where I'm like, well, what do I do now? I just put out a new mix. Um, I don't have any ideas right now of stuff I want to do. So then, like, I set a goal for myself for this year of like, cool, each month I want to make minimum 5 edits. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, just make 5 edits so I have something. I build a catalog, and then maybe, eventually, or if I think they're good enough, I'm sending them to other DJ friends that are playing all over the country too. So then, unknowingly, you're hearing something I made, even though it's a mashup of somebody else's work too. I'm like maybe putting my touch on it or something you might not even think of, but then to where you're subtly hearing it, or I might put it on SoundCloud, but then like for me, something like that, I'm facing copyright because it's other people's work. So then I'm like, okay, well, how do I push this out there? Because it'll get taken down, or even on all the other platforms, it could get taken down because copyright. Like it's kind of a weird game for the DJ scape too, and like a lot of, at least like the major labels don't want to help DJs anymore, which is a weird idea. Like for instance, I get a lot of music from, it's called a record pool. So basically, I pay a subscription, I can download different artists' music. But so, for instance, no Sony artists are allowed on these pools. Sony, for whatever reason, doesn't want to come to an agreement. So I think like Travis Scott and Beyonce and whoever else fall under that. So I can't, if they drop new music and you want to hear it in the club, I can't get it because Sony, for whatever reason, is, I don't know, they don't want to do that. So in a sense, I guess I could tie that back to like if I'm playing those artists from Sony's music or not playing it, like essentially there's no real-time data to see if these fans or people in the crowd are like enjoying that music or whether it's actually having the effect that it, like they want. So it kind of creates a gap. I think if that all makes sense. I don't know. It was a long ramble.
That was great.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really good. I was going to ask you, what is new or upcoming, if you're allowed to share, that your company's working on or close to being done with in terms of new tech that you guys are going to roll out? I know you guys use so much proprietary technology to check on everybody, like Miss Paloma.
Miss Paloma, yes, our favorite. Yeah, the community strategy, like I discussed, that's all internal tools. And yeah, we just have a really thorough data analytics team. And I remember when I first started at Nettwerk, they were like, not many labels, I mean, independent labels too, have data teams. And so that's a cool career trajectory. If you're out here and you love to crunch the numbers and you love to do the kind of stuff we're talking about, help out fans, give them specific data, help out artists, boost their careers. Data analytics is really rad. I am learning about it still, how they actually do all of the charts and graphs and everything, because it's intense. So hopefully some of y'all out there are excited by that, and this will be you in the future, and it'll be awesome. Or you'll be like me, and you can pitch the music and use the data that we have to talk about all of our artists and stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
Anything for you, Jared, that's new and exciting coming up?
oh geez, for us, I mean, we're continuing to iterate and grow. We just launched the ability to use Set.Live across the entire world. We tested it during the World Cup in Qatar.
Cool.
Yeah. So we've been, working on a global scale now, which is pretty cool for us to be able to conquer, and I'm very excited about that, along with our progressive profiling tools that we're going to roll out. We should probably talk about that in more detail.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
But no, I think you do bring up a good point. There's so many other jobs related to music. Like I can sit here and safely tell you I tried every instrument ever and was awful at all of them, and I've been working in music for a decade now, and it has nothing to do with actually playing an instrument. So there are a lot of other very cool opportunities, whether they be, again, data and analytics, not what I went to college for, or even like brand partnership deals, or as like say you get to hype and pitch your music to all the DSPs and everybody else. Like there's so many ways to be involved in music now that don't require you to, be in the mailroom at a major label.
Yeah, and that actually segues really nicely into one of the questions that we have.
There you go. Perfect.
Boom. Good job. Good job, you guys. Yeah, so we'll keep sending. We have 2 questions here. Hopefully, we can fill up the 10 minutes, and then we can chime in or whatever. But first one, I can take this because it's directed to me. So thank you for whoever asked me this. Is how did I get my start at Nettwerk? What steps after graduation did I take? And I love talking about this because now I get to toot the horn about Ohio University. Let's go.
There you go.
Boo, 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 boo. So yeah, some claps. Yeah, so I did the OU and LA program in 2017, and I found my internship at Nettwerk by myself, and we were in person in the LA office at the time. And I don't know, long story short, I did a lot at OU. I was super involved in everything. If you know me, you know. I did a lot of internships all over the place, and they were just the best team, the best people. They gave the best experience. And I just kept in touch with them throughout the years. I moved to Austin after graduating because I also did the South by program through OU, along with Bobby. We had a blast, and I was yeah, it was great. Highly recommend.
Yes.
Yes. And I just really loved Austin. I love the environment. I mean, Austin is not like South by crazy all the time, but the energy is definitely there. If you've been to Austin, hopefully you know.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. I'm plugging Austin as well.
Hey, weird Austin, right?
Yeah.
That's the slogan.
So yeah, I had a job working in YouTube metadata when I first got to Austin after a few months of job searching there. And then one of my coworkers at Nettwerk reached out and was like, hey, we have a job on the sales and streaming team. And I never fully figured I would end up in a role like that, but I did have that metadata background because the metadata, that's a whole other can of worms to even talk about, is just, organizing your data online as well. But yeah, they just wanted me to come back, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, you're in Austin, that's great. You're in a music city, so I'm the one Texas person technically for the label, which is really cool. It's awesome. I get to represent in Texas, so I hope that was good. I hope that helps. Take the plunge. Just move to the city. Just do it. My parents, who were in the audience, they were terrified for me to go to Austin, and it turned out to be great. So that's my spiel. I will get off my high horse now.
No, you're good. It's perfect.
So I think we can all talk about this a bit too. What are top 3 pieces of advice for emerging artists to use data to connect with and reach fans?
Top 3, huh? Wow. Oh, I'm going to give you the top 1. I think the most important thing that you guys can do at any point in time is find out who's in the audience every single night at your shows. And that doesn't matter if there's 10 people, go get 9 of their email addresses, phone numbers, cell phones, or there's 10,000 people and you can only get 100. It doesn't matter. Find a way to connect with them in an authentic way, get their contact information, because nothing beats a one-to-one relationship or a direct relationship with your fans.
Yeah, that was just great. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think just the real world, conversation, whether, it's after a show, you just go and talk to people directly, or maybe use your tools like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and just ask, a general question like, hey, if you were there last night, what did you think? Open up the dialogue, and then it opens up multiple people to add into it, whether they want to talk to each other or just talk to you, and then you can respond in that way. Or, I don't know, I guess, yeah, just have open source questions of use the Instagram story question thing, or just look at your comments and just see what there is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things.
I do have a second one, actually, that I'll say. I know for those of you who are in the audience with Talib Kweli yesterday, he kind of touched a lot on community and building a community. And one of the things that, I wish he would have gone even further into detail on was this idea of hey, if you use Spotify and you realize you're based in Cleveland, let's say, but man, there's a lot of people who listen to your music in Detroit. Go connect with another person or another artist from Detroit and start to create that community, so that way you can go open for them in Detroit and they can come open for you in Cleveland, and then you can build a little network of people where you guys go around, you open for each other, you help each other out, because like one, now you're creating two communities, one for yourself within that artist, and two, you're creating a community that now knows each of you who are your fans. And so I think like you can use data now in a way that you couldn't really do that before, right? Like when Tyler was starting, like what would you have done? Gone into the Yellow Pages and like called someone? For those of you in the audience, the Yellow Pages was a book that we used to get that had, you know, people's numbers. I see a lot of blank stares, so.
No, so actually that just made me think of a good like example of what you just said of like if you connect with somebody else who kind of like aligns with your brand, and me and Josh actually talked about this yesterday. So like just an example for myself, I do a lot of work with Machine Gun Kelly. Anybody familiar?
I think a few people might know.
I don't know.
Perhaps.
Whichever. You never know.
Shaker.
Yeah, Shaker. So same area as Cleveland pretty much, but so a lot of work that I do with him, like I've done stuff with him directly, either at his coffee shop, private events. We did like a private event with Spin Magazine. But so doing stuff with him and everything like that, I've gained supporters, fans, whichever you want to, call it, friends, if anything, too, from people who are direct fans of him to where now they've come all the way to Cleveland to see him play, but then they also like recognize me and enjoy what I do. So then they'll come support me, be fans of me, share my stuff. So even that, just creating that connection right there. Obviously, he's a major artist, so that helps. But in that sense, I know I have mutual fans, whether they're in like Missouri, Kansas, Nevada, California, Florida, whichever. So when I know when I go to these places, I can almost count on those people too. So just an example I thought of real quick.
Cool. We have a few minutes left, and y'all can submit questions in the app. Reminder, if anyone's got anything else, or you can let us keep rambling up here.
Oh, I was to say, or if anybody has a question and doesn't want to submit it through the app because they don't like technology, feel free.
Anyone?
Bueller? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, please, yell.
So I'm working with an artist who gets a lot of engagement on TikTok. They play the band, but they also they're passionate about cosplay, Power Rangers, things like that. Yeah. And they have viewed, over 1 million on several of their TikToks. So I'm just wondering, before we answer that question, what would you think is the best resource for me to understand how to approach brands to develop a relationship? Because I understand fresh use a lot of makeup, different things like that. They're obvious brands to me, but is there a resource or a way that you could offer any insight to help understand how to approach brands or where to find the brands to approach to develop those relationships with artists, with brands?
So I can take this one. I think the first thing is really having good data to show the brands, because most of these marketing people are not, how do I put this nicely, are savvy enough now where it's like, it's not good enough to just like wrap someone's tour bus, right? They want to know like all the analytics behind it. They want to know why you referenced a makeup brand, right? Like why that artist, actually has, why their fans care about that makeup brand, for example, right? And so, are they mostly female? What kind of age range are they? Like, does it fit the brand's profile? And then I think if you have a really good story that goes along with that, I think you can reach out to them directly and say, hey, I have this artist. Here's all these data and analytics, and here's their story. Let's talk. And that you usually get more of a push from them than just, hey, my artist loves your brand, right? Like, I always go, like, we get so many calls where artists are like, I love Levi's jeans. Can you get me like a deal with Levi's? And it's like, no, I cannot.
Well, it's also like too when like informing that story, also like explain like when you reach out to the brand, just explain why like your artist and the person you're representing, why they mesh with that brand too. What story you guys can tell, what you feel they bring to that brand that's different than everybody else. So just kind of think that out, write it out, and then like Jared said, have that data on hand that you do have to just instantly back it up because they're going to want to see it ASAP. And if you don't have it ready, they're not going to wait for you. They want it then and now. And if you take too long to do it, bye. I'm not going to respond back to you because if you don't have it ready, then like there's no point.
Yeah, I definitely agree to what everyone is saying. And if you don't already, y'all should check out Chartmetric because I think they have brand info there, but they definitely just have so much data like all across the board. So I want to plug Chartmetric. It's a data website. You can put in your like streaming links and your artist info, and they will collect audience information like where they are, brand affinities, playlists you've been added to. It kind of has a special rank within Chartmetric about where you are in your career based on your data. Like they just take everything you need and just crunch it right there. Subtle plug for them. I'm not paid to say this. Chartmetric's cool.
I was about to ask you, so just for my own knowledge, do you like Chartmetric more than Luminate?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Y'all do what you want, but
I was just curious. Well, we do all of our stuff in-house, so I don't use either of them, but I always like to know what people like.
Cool. Well, thank you for your question. That's our time. Oh, sorry. Hey, Claire.
Come on. Josh, do we have time for one more question?
He said yes.
Josh says yes.
Yeah.
My question is, for folks who are managing social media platforms, not only for artists but for a music venue, how would the tools change for what you're using to cross-check analytics and everything of that nature?
I mean, I guess one thing you could do is like, for as far as like venues, you could post like signs around the venue to be like, it sounds so like super cheesy, but like, give us a Google review, give us a Yelp review, because I'm pretty sure Google and Yelp can give you that data. It can tell you who the person is, if they're living in that area, or whether they're coming in from out of town, and that's real-time feedback. So say, I don't know, at the venue, whichever, people come in, they write their review, they're like, band was great, everything, but the sound was kind of meh. So you're like, okay, maybe we should look into our sound system or whichever, how we can improve that. Like, that's real-time data and direct feedback of what you can take. Some people, I mean, they might not write the greatest review. They'll just be like, this place sucks, which doesn't help you at all. But then what you can do at that point is you can reach out, respond to them, and be like, hey, you know what? Sorry for your experience, but can you give us more information? What didn't you like? What do you think we could do better? What did you like? And so then, if what they did like is already good, you don't have to worry about it, cool. Focus on what they didn't like, and then you improve that. So then when they come back, if they come back, or if somebody else comes back, they're not going to have the same complaint, I guess,
No, I think that's great. I think the other thing, I think back to like my personal favorite venue in Dallas is a little small place. It's called the Kessler. It's like a 300-seater, and in my humble opinion, has the best acoustics in Dallas, maybe even in Texas. And what they do, I think, is much more in their content strategy than anything else that I just love. Like, they're really involved in the community. If you go look at their feed, it's not just a bunch of posts of, hey, artist X is coming, buy my tickets, right? Over and over and over again. That rarely works out well. I think that's kind of people turn a deaf ear to a lot of times. And so the more you can intersperse unique content, custom content, things that are community involved, I think that gives you a really good strategy. I also think it's a good idea when you have those fans on the social platforms, right, to survey them, either using something like we offer at my company or not, but just the idea of surveying those people to find out like what they like, what they don't like, what they care about, and even going back to like what kind of brands they all care about. I mean, you could maybe better sell your own brand partnership deals for, the signage on your walls or anything else that you're doing as well.
Yeah, no, I agree to everything he was saying. Thank you, Claire. Well, cool. I guess that's it.
Awesome. Well,
Sweet.
thank you all so much.
Thank you, guys.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.